Alright guys, welcome back. We're doing another video on some of my favorite baits. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite crankbait. So if you haven't, subscribe and like the videos. That'd be great. That'd help us out. So let's get right into it. So everyone's got crankbaits. I'm sure there's lots of people, just like me. I've always had tons of crankbaits, all different kinds of colors and sizes, and I just never really had a lot of confidence in crankbaits. So the way that I found this crankbait that became my favorite crankbait is kind of a cool story. So I was in Missouri duck hunting, and we were hunting. It was really cold, so all the marshes were frozen, and we were hunting this big lake because it was one of the only places where there was open water. It was like -5 degrees at night. So this lake was real low. There was lots of shoreline that was open. So in walking around, getting set up, we're walking around all these beaches and rocky areas where the water's low, and we found like 4 or 5 different crankbaits. So one of the crankbaits that was in like the best condition was a Spro Rock Crawler 55. So that's this crankbait right here. So this is the actual color of the one that I found in Missouri. It's Phantom Brown. And so I had that, and it sat in my box for probably a couple years. And I was like, one day I just decided to start throwing this crankbait, and almost immediately I started catching fish with this thing. And before this, I didn't really have any confidence in any kind of cranking. So it's kind of crazy how it all came together. But this crankbait right here, I think, is hands down the best crankbait that there is. So it's a Rock Crawler 55. It's 1/2 ounce, but it's a pretty small bait for being a 1/2 ounce crankbait. So I throw it on a 7-foot medium rod. I use a Lama Glass XP 703 casting, and it's kind of more of a whippier light bait casting rod. I use the same for jerk baits. So, and I throw it on fluorocarbon. I'll throw it on 8 or 10 pound fluorocarbon. One other thing I do, I switch out the split rings for Owner Hyper Wire split rings, and then I switch out the hooks. It comes with Gamakatsu hooks, which are good hooks. There's nothing wrong with them, but I like to switch them out for the Owner ST36s, and I also size them up one size. So they're not big enough to where they'll hook each other. They're just small enough to where they won't hook each other. So that's how I run that setup. And all across Washington, I've caught fish in all the lakes, Tri-Cities, Banks Lake, Potholes, Moses Lake, Lake Washington, all the lakes we fish for tournaments, I've caught on this crankbait. And the biggest key is to get that thing to hit the bottom as much as you possibly can. Get it to, it'll come through crazy rock and wood and does not get hung up. And when it does get hung up, all you do is stop and give it some slack, and a lot of times it'll float back up, and you just keep reeling, and it'll keep coming. So it's super snagless, and it's just a great bait for catching fish here in Washington. And this Phantom Brown is by far my favorite color. I have other colors that I try sometimes depending on water clarity, They come in all kinds of different craw colors. There's another good one's like they have like a phantom green. I like that one a lot too. But my favorite for sure is the phantom brown. Now the biggest key is to get this bait digging into that bottom and banging off the rocks and all of that. So the package says it dives like 9 to 14 feet. I've never got one to go 14 feet, and a lot of times I'll use 8-pound Seagar fluorocarbon, and I still can't get it to go 14 feet. So I think this is how most all crankbaits are. I'm not any kind of crankbait expert, but what you got to do is you got to sit yourself in the right areas to fish this bait. So this crankbait, I know I can get it to usually about 10 feet deep. So there's kind of two situations that I'm gonna fish this. So if the bank or off the bank, I'll sit in 10 to 12 feet of water, and I will throw it about 45 degrees right up to the bank. And if I do that and I'm sitting in 10 to 12 feet, I'll get it to hit bottom almost immediately all the way back to the boat. The other situation is if I'm paralleling a bank, I'll sit in 10 feet or less. So depending on where I'm getting bites, where I think they're sitting, but you could be paralleling the bank. You could be sitting in 2 feet of water and throwing it into 2 feet, and you can just crawl it on the bottom really slow, and it'll come through that 2 feet. Or you can go out to 10 feet where you know at the deepest it's going to get, and you can bomb the cast and reel it fast, and it'll get down to 10 feet, and it'll come back at 10 feet. So the most important thing is getting a lighter rod so you can cast it real good. If you have a medium heavy rod, it's a lot harder to cast. And getting the smaller diameter fluorocarbon, like 8-pound or 10-pound, will help you get it down deeper. So this bait is, in my opinion, the best crankbait, and everywhere I go in Washington, I catch them on this crankbait. So if you're in Washington or anywhere else, definitely give the Spro Rock Crawler 55, give it a try and see if you can get it figured out. It seems to catch a lot of good ones too. So thanks for watching. I'm going to do some more videos. I'm trying to get some more tackle videos, and subscribe and like if you haven't. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.